Rise, minions, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here, we are back, finally, after a 2-month hiatus for our Patreon campaign, The Rise. This is episode 34, called A Single Spark. We'll see what that means, I'm sure. But, as always, if you guys like what we do here and you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is just like these fine folks, by heading over to our Patreon, link in the description down below. Join us over on Patreon. While you're down there, click on that Discord link, join us in the Discord, be a part of the community, be a part of the conversation. And as always, in the bottom right-hand corner, you will see that corruption bar. That bar serves two purposes. One is when that bar fills, which, spoilers, I'm all out of corruption bars. When that bar fills, I get to unleash terrible, horrible things on my players and their characters. And two, every single dollar that goes into that bar goes back to this channel for all kinds of things like editing, artwork, t-shirt designs, and all kinds of other fun things. But with that being said, previously on The Rise. Returning to Samora, the godlings were eager to debrief Queen Etain about the poisoned water supply, only to find out the city had been attacked in their absence. Between the siege, the tranquil assassins, and the Chryserian bibliomancers resurrecting the city's dead, it was clear that the queen was grasping at straws. After being dismissed for the evening, Antares, Korax, Mina, and Seydlitz departed into the streets of Samora, each searching for answers to questions they couldn't ask. We start nightfall. Mina stands atop a hill that overlooks the city of Samora and the surrounding lands outside the city. There atop the hill are two graves. At Mina's, at the it rises in the east? Yeah, in the east, the sun begins to rise. Listen, don't roll your eyes at me, G. I still do never eat shredded wheat to remember how the compass works, okay? So, I'm a child in a man's body. So the sun begins to rise from the east and cast its orange-red glow over Mina as he finishes a thoughtful moment here at this grave. Mina, I'll turn things over to you. As the sun slowly begins to rise on the city, what are you doing?
Mina walks from the small rise of the graveyard, not in the direction of the secret entrance, but towards the wall and to the gate that feeds Arvy's Road. His militaristic march is gone, replaced by a semi-nonchalance and confidence that we glimpsed back in Nod. But as he walks, his senses scan the horizon for any signs that the Chryserans have sent anyone towards him. But he also uses a new sense that he gained since becoming a god. And that is his ability to hear anyone speaking his name with the domain ability self-aware. And he's sifting through any conversations or any curses or any pleas that use his name from within the city, searching for someone he can connect with.
You listen to the energies of the Afterworld, hoping for a fragment of your name, a snippet of conversation that revolves around you, as you have this walk, this semi-confident walk towards the main gate. And you hear a conversation. As you tune in, it's probably, in the middle of said conversation, but you hear, you think it's true what they're saying? Do you think General Han is a god? Do you think do you think they were sent here to protect us from this? I mean, I've seen his skill, and I know that even if he isn't, he's still our superior. But do you think it could be true? And you hear a second voice who responds, "There were gods once. There could be gods again. We don't. All I know is there are people in this world with power, and if they're dragons or gods or mad tyrants. Who's to say? But he seems like one of the good ones. And you hear that conversation sort of slowly fade off as you walk. People are wondering about you, Minahan.
Mina is going to lock in on that conversation, and he's going to apply some effort to try to gain a vision of who it was that spoke his name and what's in their immediate area.
You focus in on this, and you see two of your subordinates are questioning, or not questioning, but discussing the validity or the potential of your godhood. These are two, spear wielding guards on the wall, somewhere on a wall in Samora. You see that there is a small, like maybe foot high lit brazier by their feet. That there are like a barrel full of arrows. Beside that, two bows are leant against the wall, and each of them carries a spear. And you can sort of see this picture almost like a vignette where it kind of fades, like they're the central focal point, but everything sort of fades to black around them. You see that they're maybe 20 feet from one of the stairwells that leads up to the top of the crenellations. And there's only so many stairs around the city, and you know where all of them are. So you can identify where these two guards are that are having this discussion. And they are maybe a stone's throw away from the front gate.
So Mina's now going to use, now that he can see the two people having the conversation, as he continues to walk, he's going to use his devoted defender ability on the one that said he seemed like one of the good guys and become the devoted defender. And since he's the god of protection, he's going to try to use that devoted defender ability in an effort to, in his next actions where he protects the city. Since he's protecting this person, protecting the city by default is kind of the same thing.
What does it look like as you take on this divine defender sort of persona?
So Mina's nimbus, which is already ablaze, kind of goes from its normal golden hue to a bluish, with a bluish tinge, and that tinge surrounds him, and then for a split second it surrounds the person that he's defending.
I love that. Where does your walk end?
Mina continues to walk now, and it ends on the line that separates where Nod Shadow would normally be, and where the sunlight reaches, directly in front of the gate towards Arvy's Road. But outside of bow range, he recognizes the distance markers that have been set up by the archers, and so he can tell what is just outside of bow range for a long distance shot, and he will just go to that point on the line between night and day, and he'll go down on one knee.
The camera shifts to the perspective of these two guards atop their wall, having a discussion about the godly or the possible divine nature of their general, a man who, regardless of their their divinity, true or false, they have been commanded to follow into battle. They have trained beside and done as commanded. These two have this conversation about and a possible thing that they never in their lifetime would have expected to happen. One of them sees movement. You see him place his spear along one of the crenellations of the wall. He quickly grabs a bow, slips an arrow through, knocks it, and begins to move in the direction of a figure that he sees out in the field. He pulls the bow to half strength just to make it easier for a full arc. But he too sees these white markers that are outside there and realizes that this figure is too far away. What he can't see is that the person beside him, now to his back, has a shimmer of protection, of aura around him that fades just as quickly as it appears. The guard with the bow pulls back again, and he looks as far as his eyes can see as he strains in this, one half darkness, one half barely there orange light, sort of, cascading over the hills. And he realizes the spear. A unique kind of spear, not often carried in these parts. He recognizes the shield as the sun glints off of it. A sort of two-sided, almost Sumerian black and white sort of shield. And he watches as this person faces away from the city, takes a knee, and he realizes that what he's seeing is not a trick of the light, is not sunlight and shadow reflecting off of steel and pauldron, and that there is a bright shining symbol above this figure's head. And he turns, and we can't hear what they're saying, but these two guards sort of communicate back and forth. There's pointing, there's gesticulation going on as they both see this. You see the guard with the bow drop it. He runs across the wall, hits the stairwell, runs down. We follow him as he reaches a small guard outpost, and he begins to shout something almost manically as he's pointing towards the wall and frantically describing what it is that he thinks he is seeing. You see these guards react in confusion. They drop their cards. A drink spills. The first guard runs back out. The other four sort of begin to pull on things. The spears are sort of passed out. They're slowly pulling on parts of their armor that they had doffed in the downtime as this other guard runs to presumably another guard shack. You begin to see motion on the eastern side on this side of the city, as guards are activating other guards. A small bell, not loud enough to ring the city, but loud enough to rouse any sleeping guards off shift. And in the 5 to 10 minutes of peace that Mina thought he would have as he kneels down in this field, that conversation, that thought of is anyone speaking my name? Who can I defend in the city? Slowly swells. It's almost like static on a radio. It becomes too many voices are speaking. You hear 10, 20, 30 people. You lose track of the number of times you're hearing your name. You hear outside the wall, what is he doing? Madman. He's a maniac. Could it be? Is he divine? Our general? All these things all pointing back to you as one cell of the city guard is roused to action. You can't see it because you're facing the opposite direction, but the guard on the wall has doubled as more are spreading this message around town. We cut to sad Antares. We cut to Antares, full of popcorn.
Yep.
Antares, where are you? The morning rays have just started to alight on your window, and there's no sign of any of this chaos that's happening. What are you doing? How are you waking up this morning?
Well, she hasn't slept. She's been sitting in a pew in the Church of the Adherents all night. She gave the the 2 guards she assigned to watch over Dreshen a chance to sleep. So she's just been sitting there in silence in this huge like cathedral type of a room. Yeah. So when the sun starts peeking through the windows, she just blinks and looks up at the window. And I think she's just going to wait for the soldiers to relieve her.
I would like to take a moment here. Antares, you, as far as you're aware, you've lived your whole life in Corso, where your mother has done her best to remove all facets and facades of the gods that once were. There may be temples or ruins of such that sort of dot the once great city, but by all accounts, there are no processions. There are no like church There's nothing to symbolize that we worship gods. And while you've been in and out of churches, both in your duties as in your prior duties as one of the chosen, you've spent time in and out of churches on the road after meeting these companions of yours. This is the first time you've been in a church in the way that a church is meant to be in. You are alone here. You are alone to reflect on anything. You have a solemn moment of silence, something that is I feel like rare for Antares. No one bothers you. Again, because of the state of the world you're living in, there's no priest at the pulpit, no anything like that to sort of preside over this church. There's no hymnals, no prayer books, nothing like that. But you're here in a church, in a pew, silent, reflective, and you just had a series of potentially life-changing questions, suggestions, and bombshells dropped on you the night before. How are you? That's my question.
I think she's like very she's contemplative. She's not sad in the sense like, oh, woe is me. There's confusion and concern. She feels for some reason, because she got cursed by the weird potion that they encountered on the river, right? So she has been cut off from her divine shifts, and that's not something that she understands, but she feels like something has been severed from her, and she can't understand why. And so she's a little concerned, and that's why she went to go see Dreshen. She's concerned that this is it. Like, is her divinity done? And what does that mean? Because she saw her divinity as a path away from from Nilumriel and from her old life. So does that mean she's now destined to go back? And she doesn't want to, but she doesn't know. So she's just been sitting there stewing and contemplating what it means. Yeah.
Okay. We cut from Antares in the introspective church here, and we move not too far away. We move to the another area in the Temple District where a new church has just been founded. Dust covers most of the area, but the cleanest spot is a single shelf, still holding on against time, with a few books on this shelf. A single shelf to start what will eventually be a library. Korax, where do we find you here in your temple?
Korax wouldn't have stayed there throughout the night. He would have eventually made his way back to the library in the main castle. I forget what it was. The palace. He would have made his way back there, and he would have spent the rest of his night with a blank notepad and a book. He would have picked a book that would be relevant to the people of the city, and he would be copying the book word for word. And that is how he would probably spend the rest of his night, just literally cloning books.
Interesting. Okay. So we find you there, a exhausted copying these things down. The two of you unrested from your night out there. And from there, we'll cut over to Seydlitz. Seydlitz, you too snuck out of the city last night. You went for similar answers as Antarius did, questioning your godhood, how to get rid of it, should you keep it, is this being forced on you, do you have a choice, all these things and more. And you were led to a forest. A small kit found you in the city and led you out to a forest where you met with some giant creature of myth and legend. And had a very wordless conversation. We find you in a tree, as you figured it was easier to spend the night outside in your comfort zone amongst the stars and nature. How does Seydlitz wake up, and what are you doing?
Seydlitz would wake up with the sunrise, and he'd be kind of just laying there watching the city from afar, seeing what he can see. He isn't really certain that he really wants to go back.
The sun begins to rise. It sort of begins to coat the forest in some light. You see it piercing through the trees. And you begin to hear this murmur of the city coming to life. It is, you're not far enough away, and the city is large enough that, like, when people begin to start their day, and you live there your whole life, so hearing the city wake up is something you're used to. Even outside, you begin to hear this slow murmur of like noises. Every once in a while, there's like a sharp sound of what could be metal or bell or something like that. As people begin to slowly rise and begin to move things around, you can't really make out any discernible sounds. But the noise of the city slowly increases. Not like a massive decibel level here, but enough for you to know that there are people in the city and the city is active. And as far as you can tell, the city appears to be its normal self. Despite being recently attacked, despite being under siege, the city is doing what it can to be a city. And whether that is a fake it till you make it kind of situation, or we have nothing better to do than do our normal things, you're not really sure from this distance. But even here, as you sit in the tranquility of the forest, you see that well, you don't see, but you know that an army lies outside the gate. The city wakes up and starts its normal routine. As you kind of squint and look, you can see that there are guards on the walls sort of moving back and forth, guarding the perimeter. But everything, if you didn't know any better, everything seems normal. Everything seems okay. Do you stay in your tree, or do you head anywhere else?
Seydlitz would probably get out of his tree and follow the tree line around. He's kind of figured that, I guess he's kind of figured out an easy way in and out of the city by now.
There are a couple of them that have been like marked on maps. Most of them are guarded, but you've lived here your whole life. You've moved in and out of the city on various things. It's not very difficult for you to find the cracks in the armor, as it were. Are you looking to head back inside the city?
Seydlitz is going to do a bit of messing with thy enemy.
Okay, interesting. How does that look?
Just, you ever play Assassin's Creed? It's just the whistles and grass, people just disappearing randomly.
Okay. So you're looking. You move into the forest, or around the forest edge, away from the city, looking for, any random scouts out there that you can sort of send off their trail. And you have this is fun. A very Seydlitz and yet un-Seydlitz morning. Where if anyone who knows you would know that you are doing like distractions for a purpose, but anyone who doesn't know you would know that you look like a kid playing in the forest, attracting the guards, pulling them off of their post, making them, what was that? It is for all intents and purposes fun for Seydlitz. So you hop out of this tree and are cunning like a fox, like a little kit. So yeah, you harass the Chryserian army for fun as we cut back inside the city. Antares, guards do not come to relieve you. You know what time your shift should end, you know where the sun should be in the sky, and you expect guards to be here. And they're your guards, damn it. They should be here on time, if not slightly early.
They're in the next room. There's no excuse.
And they have not come to relieve you as of yet. What are you doing?
Yeah, if it seems like they are late, like she's a benevolent god. So, but maybe her stomach growls or something.
Sure.
And she realizes, like, hey, where are the guards that I sent? So she looks towards the door where the barracks are, and she will get up. And she will stride over and swing open the door.
You swing open the door, and there are your two Knights of Redemption. They are fully ready for work in their armor. And you see that both of them are gathered together between two of the bunks, and they are glued to a window. And through the window, they are having a hurried conversation with a town guard.
She scowls. What's going on?
One of them turns and they both turn and salute you and say, "Ma'am, someone's outside the gate."
Yeah, she would call them by name because she knows them. Quinn, Andreas, what's going on? And then she would walk over. What do you mean? What's going on?
Someone's outside the gate.
She looks to the town guard. Who?
I think it's General Han.
What?
I think it's General Han.
Oh, by the dragon. And she will head out. And she will turn to Quinn and Andreas. To your posts.
Sorry, ma'am. And they salute again and quickly hurry out of there. As you make your way out of the temple and I assume to the wall, we cut to Corax. Corax, you, in typical nerd fashion, you have no concept of time. You have been hurried, writing these books down, copying these, annotating the written works of Corax the Great, as you have gone through these books. And you don't notice that the sun has started to peek through the glass of the castle here, and it isn't until you begin to hear noises that the castle has woken up. Right, that you see like people are buddling around, chambermaids are chambermaiding, and you begin to hear the hustle and bustle of people coming in and out of the castle before you even realize that it is daybreak. You hear a hurried conversation of and all you get out of it is that someone's outside the wall. It seems to be between town guard and castle guard having a hurried conversation. You then like glance when you hear someone's outside, that there are a town guard and a castle guard are moving swiftly to the direction of the Queen's council chambers to alert her of something. What do you do as you see them begin to move swiftly towards her chamber?
Korax, he would get up slowly, stretching, because he's been sitting there for hours. That whole, I've been sitting there reading book for hours, nerd pain that you get. And he's going to slowly start making his way towards the entrance, and he just watches them as they get to the door. Do they look like they're in a rush, or do they just look like they're casually going?
There's nothing casual
Deliver a
about
basic
them.
message.
They're not like sprinting down the hall, but there's not this is not a casual walk. This is a speed walk at the least.
He would chase after, not running because Korax doesn't run, but he would follow after.
You see them, they're moving at a faster pace than you, so you're a little bit lagging behind. But you see them get to the council chamber. You see the castle guard pound on the door. There's a call back to the other side. Another guardsman opens the door, and these two sort of rush in. And you can hear, again, muffled through, like around a corner and stuff, but you can hear that they are discussing with the Queen that somebody is outside. Somebody's outside the gate. A single person, possibly a man, is outside the gate. And they're asking, like, what should they do?
Korax stops in the door. If they look to him for the first time in ages, his nimbus is displayed. He hasn't realized that it's out. The time in the library would have brought it out of him, but he stands there with books in his hand, and he looks at them as, why would one man being outside the gates when we're in a siege be this important?
Sir, it's one of the generals. It's General Han.
He's outside?
By himself.
Korax just shakes his head, and he starts to walk off. He walks towards the gates.
You walk towards the gates. You pass through the main part of town and eventually make your way towards like adjacent to the temple district. And as you're walking past this district, you see Antares sort of walk/storm out of the adherents temple a few feet in front of you, like a good 10 or so feet in front of you. Hasn't exactly noticed you, but you notice her as she comes out, seemingly headed in the same direction. You see all around you, the town is rising. People are pulling carts out. People are opening shops, that kind of thing. You do see very clearly that there are far more people on the parapets than there were previously. And if you pay attention, you can notice there are more guards moving around. There seems to be a level of unspoken confusion that is sort of rippling through the city. Korax, you see Antares before she sees you. What do you do?
He says nothing to her. He will just slowly walk on his journey because Antares sometimes makes him run. So he's going to slowly follow in the direction towards the gate. If she starts going a direction that he wasn't expecting, he's just going to follow.
Okay. The two of you begin a slow, separate walk away, or towards this gate. Seydlitz, you a little bit of the fox in you plays tricks on these people, and you notice something happening. You've sort of picked on and off the outlier guards that are sort of roaming. A guard wakes up for a morning piss, sort of wanders towards a tree. You give him a little scare without being seen. It's comedic. It's fun for you. Terrible time for him. You start to see that there is movement in the camp. Now, it's morning time, and you would expect everyone to be waking up, shifts changing, things of that nature. But you can hear You see a lot faster movement than you would have expected previously. People are rushing to places as if they were late for shift changes and that kind of thing. You see small groups of people rushing towards, not as ostentatious as the tent you teleported to, but similar smaller tents, likely for like a captain or some kind, would be your guess, a lower ranking officer. People seem to be rushing to these tents. There's a lot of like tent open gesticulation towards the city. Something seems to be happening. What is Seydlitz doing?
Can Seydlitz sneak close enough where you might be able to listen in? The
only way for you to get closer is if you actually enter the camp, and you would be very obviously not a member of the camp. It'd be very difficult for you to get in there unnoticed.
No stealing the uniform off a random Chryserian that he may have made fall
I mean,
asleep.
if you want to fight a Chryserian, we can roll some dice and then you can steal a uniform. Or we can have other options. We can try other things here. But so far, there's no in play dead Chryserian that you can steal their uniform off yet.
Aw, dang it.
I'm not that generous.
I know.
G reminded me in our last game that I'm not that generous. So.
Yeah. There are others.
Yeah.
Alright, Seydlitz is just gonna climb into a near tree and just watch.
Okay.
Observe this camp.
Okay. You see the camp is not exactly in disarray. Like, it's not like they're caught off guard. They seem to be dealing with something unexpected. They're prepared for anything, but it does seem to be an unexpected thing happening. So there's a small amount of scramble as people are trying to fully grasp the situation. But you begin to see troops like don armor sort of start to like get mobilized in some capacity. Obviously, you know that there are many of these camps that sort of stretch around the city as they are being sieged currently. But this is just one of them. This word has gotten passed down somewhere that something is happening from one of the other camps. A messenger has arrived. We cut to Mina. Mina, you are knelt on Avi's road. You are between the rising sun, now risen sun, and the shadow of Nod. The din of the town behind you sounds like the din of a town behind you. There's no shouts that are discernible to you. Combined with the fact that you're sort of listening for your name, everything this hum sort of rises, and you can't really tell between your name and what's happening in the city behind you. It sort of melds together, and you have this resolute position where you are now. That nothing could change your mind in this moment. And as you kneel, nimbus aglow, staring out down Avi's road, you begin to see movement in your peripheries and straight ahead at the extent of your vision, in that blurry line between the sun, Avi's light, and Nod's darkness. And you realize that on the horizon, there are troops. There are people mobilizing. There are at least 3 small squads of people mobilizing, and they seem to be moving towards you. What do you do?
Mina who's been kneeling, stands up straight, kind of leaning to one side, with his spear kind of just resting on his shoulder, and just continues to watch and wait to see if and when they approach.
They are approaching. You see these small, distant, like stick figures almost, begin to slowly move forward, and you see them get larger and larger. They don't seem to be charging at you, but they do seem to be at a trudging march.
When they kind of get within shouting distance, Mina will just shout out to them and says, "The city of Samora and those within are under my protection. Leave or die."
I love that. You hear a shout back. This city belongs to King Jaseth. It has always belonged to King Jaseth, and it will return. And then you hear a low horn, sort of, and you see the two flanks begin to quickly move towards you. As the third one sort of hangs back, you see the first line of the first line of this drop to their knee, and you see the second line step forward, and you can tell that both lines are arcing back with arrows. What do you do?
Mina does likewise. He just goes down on his knee and puts his shield up in front of him as much as he can.
Okay. You hold your shield up as a good dozen Chryserian soldiers, like they have armor clanking in this like serene sort of thing, and we'll do that Hollywood cut back and forth where we see Mina knelt down, shield ready, spear kind of at his side, like almost in the dirt, like finger length away, and we have this moment of like shadow sort of casts on one side of his face, the orange glow of the sun casts on the other side, and it's a very tranquil moment. There's dew on the grass, everything seems serene, and then we cut over to the Chryserians with their pallid white faces, their armor, their like jagged blade, they're moving towards you. You can see like the shake of their chainmail as they charge towards you, the sound of their boots pounding into the morning grass, sticks and grass crunching beneath them as they move towards you. A cut back to Mina as his fingers sort of arc and the knuckles crack towards his spear, and then the Chryserians are within 10 feet of you as they are charging towards you. When they are 10 feet out, Mina, do you stay kneeling? You have a dozen soldiers running towards you.
As soon as there's one within striking range, Mina seizes his spear and just thrusts it forward.
Perfect. So these 12 soldiers run towards you. You know, they're ringing chainmail. Every once in a while, one of them clangs their short sword on a shield. As they move, this noise sort of overtakes the tranquility of the morning, and we see with practiced poise, the knuckles reach around, the fingers reach around the haft of the spear, and with one quick movement, straight forward, and you hear it as it catches somebody right below their sternum, below their lungs, but above any super important organs. But this thing pierces into them as the other 11 sort of crash in and around you. We cut back to Corax and Antares. Antares, you gain the stairs before Corax does. You still have no idea that he's behind you. As you make your way to the gate, you see no less than 20 guards have either been pulled from other positions or have just sort of amassed on one side of the wall. The parapets are you're able to walk. It's enough room that you can't walk side by side with somebody, but if somebody's standing there, you can sort of eke behind them. And you see everyone is facing out of the wall, so there's enough room for you to walk around this thing. But everyone is standing, spears, bows, etc., at the ready, or at least in hand, all gaping out at what is happening out there. And once you take the stairs, you notice that there are a dozen or more Chryserian forces all converging on one lone person. What do you do as you reach the top of the parapets?
As she comes up the stairs, she would yell at the troops, "Stay to your posts!" And she will continue, like, walk behind them, "Get back to your positions!" And then she will look and see Mina down there. And the first thought that goes through her mind is a thought to Mina. She goes, "What are you doing?"
We cut to Korax. Korax, you are 10 or so paces behind Antares. She takes the stairs before you. You can hear her bellowing, "Get back to your post! Duty stations, now! What are you doing?" Like calling out commands as if she is a commanding officer. And then you see her stop, dead in her tracks. What are you doing, Korax?
Korax walks up alongside, and he stops, looks out at Mina, and sort of half turns to Antares and says, "What is he doing?" As he sees the people clash into Mina.
You see these 12 or so soldiers sort of horseshoe around him, and you see his spear lance forward, catching one of them on the end of it as Antares, your message sort of goes through, and a sharp, almost scalding or scolding voice cuts through your head, Mina, as you hear someone using your name. You hear the sharp tone of Antares say, "Mina, what are you doing?"
It's concern.
That's what she tells herself.
Yeah.
You just see Mina half smile as he just plunges his spear into another crossroom.
No response to you, Antares. What are you doing?
She's going to prepare to jump the wall.
Okay. You you have one hand on one of the crenellations here. One of the guards sees you do that, sort of snaps back and begins to move past you, past several of these guards, to a small bell housing, and he reaches forward and like ding 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 ding. As he starts to slam this bell, you hear the same thing echo from further away. Ding 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 from all over the wall. The city of Samora is under attack. These 7 or 8 bells sort of sound off, sort of in discordant sound from different parts of the city, and then you hear it from the castle. Gong 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 gong. A large bell housing in the city. Seydlitz, you hear this. You hear this loud warning bell, gong gong gong, in the city. You know what it means. You've lived there your whole life. The city is under attack. What are you doing?
Well, I guess I know what they're doing now. While watching the camp, how much of the enemy has left?
No one has left. They are amassing troops. It seems as though your best guess here is that they are going to move as a unit together, not like small parties of scouting. You can actually see a trebuchet in the distance being like wheeled forward. It seems as though this unit is moving as a whole, and you can assume, the other sieging units are likely going to be doing the same.
Seydlitz is going to cause a bit of a stir, and he's going to load his crossbow and indiscriminately fire bolts into this gathering mass.
Okay. You're still in your tree? Are you just firing bolts, or are you trying to do so with murderous intent?
Trying to do so with the intent of causing a panic.
Okay, cool. We can do that. So yeah, you load, and I think in this moment, right, in a moment where you're questioning your own divine sense and whether this is or is not your calling, etc. We see from Seydlitz's perspective as he loads a bolt, racks back the string, slides the bolt on there, lines it, fires at something, and then the camera sees it from the audience perspective, where all of that happens in what I'm gonna call Legolas speed. So we see the thing rack back, bolt, fire, rack back, bolt, fire, faster than anyone could rack and fire a crossbow in that succession, which is it's actually very hard to do. So we see you moving single-handedly, racking back this two-handed crossbow, a feat of strength in itself, as you begin to fire into crowds. You snag a tent line, the tent begins to fall over, it hits a brazier, the tent catches fire, you fire something else, one of the pieces of wood underneath the brazier topples over, spills at people's feet, you hit a guy line with flags on it. It fires, these flags sort of whip wildly around. You are causing general mayhem in this area as there's disarray sort of moving through the camp as everyone begins to either put out fire, pick people up, and try to find out where the source of this seemingly innumerable amount of arrows or bolts are coming from. Are you staying here, or are you using this moment of distraction as a means to get back to the city?
Seydlitz is trying to stay here, and he's causing this chaos, and he's hoping maybe he can bait the enemy to come after him.
Oh, okay, cool. I like that. So we're gonna pause.
Warfare.
Yeah, we're gonna pause on Seydlitz for a second. Mina, we go back to you. You pull into this thing. You hear the sickening. As it slides out, the body goes limp. You see that he's still alive and sort of clawing towards you as another one falls on you. Again, these guys are all standing. You are knelt. And you said you stab another one as you hear Antares' voice in your head. A smile sort of alights across your face. As another one, you clip in the shoulder, sort of piercing through the scapula, and he spins around. You hear the sickening noise as he spins back around and down to a knee as his arm hangs limply at his side. He reaches across the other side and tries to retrieve his sword with the other arm. What are you doing in this moment, Mina? You know that the city, you hear the gongs, the city is aware that they are being besieged, or at least that you are, and you know that at least Antares knows what you're doing.
Mina will slowly get to his feet. The kind of blue glow around him kind of strengthens, and he starts to give ground, drawing the people fighting him back past the range marker, so that if anyone on the wall wants to take a shot, they can.
Okay. Cool. So I pictured that really cool bow staff combat where you're spinning the spear and blades are ting 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 off the side. Between that and the shield, forming a one-man phalanx. As you sort of walk backwards, you see arrows, a dozen of them all around you, deftly missing their companions. Another line behind you. They're trying to overshoot and hit you in the head, essentially. As these other guards fall, you hear the ringing of this bell, and then you hear it again, but far louder. And you can tell the what you assume to be the company or the small unit directly in front of you has sounded a much larger horn, and much like the bells of Samora, you hear another from the 10 o'clock, and more of them are beginning to scatter around the city. The armies of Chryserich are aware that they are either under attack or moving in. Seydlitz, you also hear somebody blow this horn. Again, for you it sounds far louder, and you can actually see that there is a large horn on a mount that is mounted on a piece of wood as someone goes over and blows on this horn, kind of like a Galahorn. You can see this person, and for cool cinematics, I assume, not to take your agency, an arrow cuts that horn blast short as quickly as it can. Antares and Korax, you see Mina moving backwards deflecting arrows, swords, sword swings, etc. as you hear this cacophony of horns sort of go up. And you realize that not only is Samora ready to defend, the army of Chrysaorch is ready to attack. Antarius, you have your hand on one of the crenellations you were about to jump over. What do you do?
Yeah. How far away is Mina from the wall?
Mina is a good couple 100 feet away.
Oh,
he is outside of longbow range, and I think longbow range at the top of a hill is like 800 feet. So he's like 1,000-ish feet away.
Yeah. Jesus. Okay. There goes my cool entrance. Okay. She's gonna shout at the archers on the wall. I'm like, support your general! And then
All I can think of is your cool entrance is that scene from Monty Python the Holy Grail where it's just the guys running.
And that's what I do now.
And it cuts back to like, what are they doing? And then it's the same thing of them running very far.
Yeah, that's what it has to be now because Mina's 1,000 yards away.
We just see Mina fighting and then Antarius just running. I'm coming! I'm coming to get you! Don't die!
Yeah.
Slowly.
Yeah. Because she's gonna go down there to support him. So she yells at the archers to support their general, covering fire, take out those guys, and she's just going to take a step and she's going to leap off the wall.
Okay, now the important question that I think all of us know deep down in our hearts: do you superhero landing? Or
I
not?
hate this superhero landing. No, because she needs to. She's not. My original idea was that she was jumping on these guys because they were closer to her. No, she's gonna basically like do a step and like leap off as far as she can. She's gonna land on her feet, do a into a defensive roll up onto her feet, and keep running.
Okay.
No superhero landing.
Yeah, I confirmed the English longbow, which is the best kind of longbow, 450 to 1,000 feet of range.
Jesus.
So Mina did say he was outside of bow range. So that's on him. Don't blame me.
Yeah, I was confused about where everyone was. So
Yeah, they're outside of bow range. Snow demands a GM intrusion for no superhero landing. I'm almost tempted to do it now. But I kind of want this to be a kick-ass superhero episode. You leap down, you scream out commands to the town guard, you leap down on this thing in a position for you. As soon as both feet hit the ground, you are off, running towards this. Korax, in a moment, you say, what is he doing? And then you see Antarius leap off of the wall and sort of do the same thing.
Down I go.
As she you can see her grab the side of the wall, and as she's launching herself forward, she's shouting, "Arrows, defend your general!" As she is gone. What are you doing?
Borax is tired. He hasn't slept. He's just like, I'm surrounded by idiots. And he turns to the guards and says, if you don't have a bow, give other people arrows. And he's going to walk up alongside them and just help hand out arrows.
You turn and begin to assist as best you can. And perhaps it is the tired nature of your existence in this moment, but there is a shifting on the walls, a slight rumble. Maybe you're just unsteady, you're not entirely sure, but you feel a little off balance up here for a second. Do you do anything, or do you continue to address the current situation?
He's going to carry on dealing with the current situation.
Okay, cool. We'll pause on that. You begin to hand out these arrows to anyone with a bow. You see guards are moving up and down the staircase, sort of making like a train of people passing bows up, passing any spare barrels of arrows up as well. And everyone begins to move around. And then you hear the bell again on another side, and you realize that too many guards have all piled to one side because of this, leaving openings on other sides. As you hear the shattering of stone on stone, as you look behind you and you see a massive boulder being spun out of a distant camp. A trebuchet launches rocks into the side of this wall. It's the second siege we've had today. As the trebuchet smashes into the wall, you see rocks sort of tumble. You hear screams from the citizenry as this happens, and you begin to see people, the people in the city begin to panic. Quickly, as the panic begins to set in, you see Knights of Redemption coming out of wherever they are to sort of get the masses into safety, back into their homes, into like shelters, etc., as they begin to sort of do the last task that Antares had given them. But you realize now that though you were focused here, the attack is coming from every direction. That you are the bullseye of the dartboard, and you see another set of rocks hit, smash, and you realize that at this range, there is nothing that your alchemist's fire can do, unless you can get it airborne.
Korax doesn't have a means to do that.
But he is the god of knowledge.
As Korax is seeing this, and he looks along the walls and starts to notice that the number of people is too much for in a particular area, that shouldn't be this many guards. He walks up to the first one, he grabs him by the shoulder. Is this your post? If the guy shakes his head or says anything on that, no. He pushes him back and says, get to your post. And anyone you find outside of your post, the generals are out there. Get to your posts. The rest of this needs to be dealt with. And he's going to jump down off the walls inside, not stupidly outside like the other idiots.
Everyone else in the show panicked just now.
They're going to unsafe places.
And Terry's turns around, comes back.
We see Korax jumps down to the fourth stair and then continues to walk down the stairs. A safe
just magically warps behind Korax to keep him from jumping.
Yeah.
He's like, don't do it.
He's going to keep walking back towards... Find the stuff. He's going looking for information, Mike. And I don't know where yet. But any guard that he sees that kind of looks out of place, like it's a city guard, he's just pushing them and shouting at them to go back.
Okay.
Because that's what Antares did, so that seemed to work.
That seemed to work, yeah. So Korax is a man on a mission. He just has no idea where that mission is. You hear from within the city more of these rocks, like boulders, smashing into the walls. You see one of them skid off the top of a roof of a building. You see shingles and shale sort of fall places. The boulder hits the ground. These are probably like 5 feet across. These things hits the ground, leaving a crater in there as well. On the bright side, as you make it through, as you walk through this chaos, you don't see any signs of Antares or Mina's siblings, which is, a small victory in this moment, because I know you were all expecting them to show up here. That's
a random thing to say.
They do not seem to be here at this moment. Listen, I know the god of remembering things is going to remember things. And the last thing he needs is a wizard fight in the middle of the fucking town.
Korax is heading initial destination being the Temple District.
Okay, cool. So you make your way to the Temple District. Not far. It's actually the closest district to where you are. That's where you saw Antares coming out of. But we cut Antares' full sprint. $6 million man. As you are moving as fast as you possibly can. We'll have our first roll here. Antares, make me a move I'm going to say no difficulty. So put a difficulty 0. I want to see what you roll and see if we can't speed you up a little bit. So if you have anything that may enhance your speed, feel free to use that. You are a god after all.
Yes, but I don't have my divine ships, so I'm assuming any kind of bonus. Even though my bonuses on my ships are just to my defense and my armor.
Yeah.
I have what does this do? I have this skill push on through, which means I ignore the effects of terrain while moving for 1 hour.
Great.
So I don't know if that can help me move a little faster.
Yeah, we'll say that helps you move faster. I'll give you an asset on that.
Okay. And I'm doing a speed roll. Stealth, bold, initiative, extra edge block. Surging confidence, what does that do? Nothing. Okay. Difficulty 0. Effort to roll.
Up to you.
I'll spend.
All right, guys. First one of the session.
Yep. Shut up. 1 effort, 1 asset. Submit.
If that was a 1, that would be what she would get for not doing a superhero landing.
Yeah.
Cool. So you rolled a 3. So it beats a difficulty 1, I believe. Cool. So yeah, you begin to sprint. It's not impressive. You run towards Mina. You can see that Mina is still backing up, I assume, as more and more of these guys are sort of descending on him. Arrows fly. You see that he is just getting into arrow range. So you, Antares, you do begin to see a few arrows volleying towards him. But the people that are fighting him are just outside of the arrow range. So just sort of, you see arrows landing behind him and another landing behind him from both directions, essentially. You do also see, because now you're here, you see that there are more troop movements moving out of areas like cresting over hills, moving out of a small forest, like a small copse of trees. More of these are coming, and you too, while you're not, blinded by the haze of combat, you see that there is a large trebuchet off in the distance. Firing launching a rock over towards the temple district. As you see it plunge into the side of the wall, they have brought out their siege weaponry. We cut to Seydlitz. The unit that you are at has not moved. You have plunged them into chaos. You can hear the sounds of boulders hitting walls, possibly buildings. You're not sure. You really can't see everything from here. But you know that the unit that you are at and their trebuchet has not been able to move because of the amount of disarray you have put them in. What are you doing? It sounds as though a full-fledged battle has begun at the city.
Well, given Seydlitz's position, it would be kind of silly to go back to the walls. So Seydlitz is going to run around behind the lines and see if he could disrupt these trebuchets, I guess.
Oh, okay. Cool. How do you want to do that?
Kind of basically a rinse and repeat of what he did with the first camp. Plunged everything into chaos, caused confusion, messed with the crews.
Okay. Here's what I'll say. Give me a speed. I'm going to do the same thing I did for Antares. Give me a speed roll or an attack roll, because your attack is speed as well. So give me an attack roll and add anything or let me know if you want to add anything that can increase your speed, increase your accuracy, that kind of thing.
In terms of movement, I have both Fleet of Foot and Stalker. And Fleet of Foot's just, if I pass a difficulty 2 speed roll, I can, move and take an action.
Okay, I'll give you an asset for that.
Round.
And I'll give you an asset
Stalker,
for
it just gives me trained against every type of movement type.
Okay, so I'll give you 2 assets, 1 for each.
And difficulty?
Difficulty you can just do 0. I just want to see what's the highest you roll.
All right. That's a 10.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you have a 10. Beats a difficulty 3 with all your assets and effort. We'll increase that. The difficulty 4 would beat. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I apologize, Antares. Yours would have been beats a difficulty 3, and Seydlitz, yours is beats a difficulty 5 or 6. Sorry. Either way, still not impressively fast for Antares. But you, Seydlitz, you sneak behind, moving like tree to tree. You know the hunt, and you're on it. You begin to move behind these enemy lines, again, sort of throwing this camp into chaos. Anytime you see an opportunity to sever like a tent guy line, or to spill some sort of fire, or to like topple something over at a distance while the camp is paying attention to one direction, and you do so until you get your way, you get all the way over to a good sight line on the trebuchet. You see this wooden and metal trebuchet, this long platform, this A-frame sort of thing, and you see this massive counterweight and crank and pulley system. As you see on both sides, there are 4 Chryserian guards. One is pulling one way, one is pushing the other way. Same one on the other side, as they are cranking this thing down, or cranking it up, really, to load a stone into the trebuchet itself. You see that the trebuchet itself is like chains and ropes with a large, like it's a slingshot, with a large, like, canvas or leather strop. You see most of this is done by ropes, and with enough effort, you can sever these. So describe to me what it looks like as you cause a bunch of distractions here, and how do you sabotage this trebuchet?
Bolts come flying out from the tree line, and Seydlitz is aiming for specific joints on the trebuchet, like ropes, the pulley itself, the wheels, trying to jam them up. And Seydlitz is trying to basically fray the ropes enough that when he hits them, that the trebuchet will collapse under its own weight.
Okay. That's fucking awesome. So yeah, these bolts sort of fly, and the amount of shouting and yelling and scrambling that's happening in the camp, it's hard to even notice the sound of a bolt thunking into wood, as opposed to any other sounds in here. And so before they know it, this trebuchet has been sabotaged, and should it launch, it will collapse under its own weight. With that, we cut back over to Mina. Mina, you are taking out these soldiers with the same ease you took them out at the alchemy site, essentially wading out into this field. You do see you do hear movement behind you as arrows are flying behind you. It's hard to tell if they're friendly or enemy arrows. And you can see, as soon as you take one down, you can see that there are forces moving against you in larger number. You can hear the sound of the bells. You can hear the sound of the horns, and you know that this spark lit the fire on a battle. And you can see that there are much larger troop movements coming out. And you can assume all around the city, as you can hear this whistle and as a stone hits the wall. The siege has commenced. The battle has commenced. What are you doing? Are you still backing up? And if so, what are you doing?
Once he's within longbow range, he will stop backing up. And just fall into a pattern of stabbing, deflecting, blocking, and switch the focus of his self-awareness out beyond the battlefield, out towards where the enemy is camped, to see if anyone's talking about him out there.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have you roll something here. I'm going to have you roll an intelligence. I'm going to call it difficulty 5. And you can add any skills that pertain to you personally, or godliness. Not sure if you have any of those, but I'm open to suggestions as well if you have any.
So can I use Devoted Defender as an asset, since I'm using it to defend the city?
As an asset. I'll take that.
has a learning skill that involves learning something new. No, that's more for digging through a library. No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably all he's got.
Okay. So difficulty 5, 1 asset, and you can still apply effort if you want.
Yeah.
Perfect. You cast this mental net out away from Samora, listening for anyone. No one is speaking your name. That's what the point of the roll was. You can hear people talking what you presume to be about you. It's about you enough to like with some effort sort of trigger that ability to know that this madman that they are talking about contextually appears to be you. This demon, this madman, this monster is what they're referring to you as you are mowing through their forces. They don't know who you are, like in name. They don't know what you look like or what you're about. So all they see is a lone person wading out into battle and just mowing through people. So they refer to you as the aliens refer to Master Chief in this moment, and you contextually sort of pick that up as they are referring to you in that capacity. So with that knowledge, what would you like to do about that?
He's trying to sift through all those conversations and to what might be someone reporting to, say, a commander like Jaceth.
You succeeded on a difficulty 5. You rolled a 13 with all your assets. Okay, so you succeeded on target number 12. Okay, you don't know who they're reporting to, but you do hear a report of the goings on of the battle. You hear a report that there is a lone madman in the field, unsupported by anyone. That the city is in disarray, and he has taken to the field alone. And he seems to be able to defeat most of our grunt force with ease. You can tell it's being reported to somebody. Excuse me, but you can't really tell who it's being reported to.
So self-aware will also give me a direction and a distance.
It is coming from, if you're on the east, it is coming from northeast, and it is probably like a half mile out, or like, I don't know, what is that, like 2 kilometers for you metric weirdos? Something along those lines, away from you in the northeast.
While Mina's using self-aware, he's also hearing and Terry's running up behind him.
Sure.
And when she gets close enough, he's going to do the big spear sweep to all those around him to try to clear some space.
Sorry, it's 0.8 kilometers is away from you. My bad. So roll me a strength. Actually, roll me an attack.
Yeah, and she's been thinking in her mind. She's like, I'm coming. Hold on.
I will say, yeah. So here's what I will say. It's going to be difficulty 3 at a minimum. I will increase the difficulty by 1 for every person you want to hit out of the way. So if you'll swing wide and hit one of them at a difficulty 3, 4 is higher, 6 is, etc., and that's how many guys you can sweep out of the way.
So if there's the amount of guys that's between him and where he sensed that report was coming from.
Probably 3 or 4. You can easily get 3 of them out of the way and have make a break for it. But 4 would make it just icing on the cake. So that's either a difficulty 6 or 7. You choose.
All right, I'll reduce that to 4 because of my shifts.
Okay.
And an asset from Devoted Defender.
Yep. So I assume you're going on the 7 with that then.
Yeah.
Okay. Success. So Antares, you are just hoofing it up to Mina as fast as you can dash.
Her sword is out.
Yeah, and you see him like spin this thing up and swipe out, knocking people back. Not like a killing blow, but like definitely throws them completely off balance. Mina, what do you do after you swipe these guys out of the way?
He looks over his shoulder at Antares and just says, "He's this way, let's go," and just breaks into a run.
What? Jesus.
You heard it, Antares. What are you doing?
Yeah, then... Well, okay, I wasn't expecting that. Okay. Well, she's gonna follow him. She'll be like, "Where are you going?" And she's saying that in her mind.
Okay.
He just calls back, "We've got to cut the head off the snake."
It's fucking suicide. and he starts running towards the concentration of troops.
One of them.
Yeah.
That's about 8. So essentially, the army came, broke into 8 segments, and you can see 7 of them have moved forward with trebuchets. The 8th one has not yet. Somehow they are being delayed by something. He has broken off, and he's running towards one of the large masses of the other remaining 7.
Yeah, she's gonna run after him to cover him. It's like, you're gonna get yourself killed.
That's not gonna, as long as the town's safe. We need to end this now.
You dying doesn't help anyone. And she is. Can she catch up to him?
Eventually you'll kind of catch up to each other. So yeah, we'll say after a good clip, you guys are close enough that you can, like, you know, not scream but like shout talk to each other. Where you're like maybe 10 or 20 paces behind him.
Okay, yeah. It's like, you're not gonna help anyone if you're dead.
Well, no one's going to miss me either. Let's go.
Fuck you! She yells after him.
And we cut to Korax, who is on a mission to parts unknown. You find yourself in the temple district. What are you doing?
He's looking for the god of bros.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to get to Bro Shaden's temple and just start banging on the door.
As luck would have it, the people have kindly provided me with a corruption bar, and as I am a benevolent GM, I will use this corruption bar for what I perceive to be good and what G perceives to be a terrible nightmare. You rush...
An asteroid, isn't it?
It's an asteroid. It actually kills the whole planet. It's a dinosaur killing asteroid, and that's the end of the campaign.
The great meteor of death comes out from the sky.
Oh man, way to throw that one back. You are moving through the temple district. You know where Vishaden's temple, or at least what he calls his temple, is, and you wend your way through back alleys, broken wrought iron fences, stone masonry that has fallen down, as you quickly get towards his temple. And you again, maybe it's the tiredness, maybe it's the adrenaline and the anxiety of the situation. You like leap over some fallen debris, or you vault over it casually, and you land, and you feel that rumble again. In fact, you can actually hear this, like the tick 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 noise of stones sort of vibrating on the flagstone city streets, and you realize that it's not coming from the trebuchet stones hitting the walls. Something is vibrating the ground like a tiny earthquake. What do you do?
Is panic a viable option?
Panic is a viable option, but I'd like you to describe to me how you panic.
Korax is going to slide to a halt. Not quite panic, but not far off. And as he realizes that it's not from the trebuchets, he sort of leans down and puts his hands onto the ground, and feels that the ground is vibrating from something.
Mm-hmm.
He looks around. Are there any guards or any Knights of Redemption or
no one's in the
killing?
Temple District because no one really goes in the Temple District. That's kind of why the adherents picked this place, is because it's mostly like shunned or disused by anyone else in the city.
Well,
Right. He's going to then get up and just bolt for Rojaden's temple.
Okay.
Korax doesn't fight. He needs to find someone who does.
Okay, you begin to sprint at a speed in which we have not seen Korax move in quite some time. And every time your foot slams into the ground, you can feel those vibrations as if you caused them. This reverberation. Again, it seems to be increasing the closer you get to your destination. And as this thought sort of passes through your mind, you realize that it is in fact too late. And you skid to a halt, as it is your destination that is causing this. And you can see the facade of Vishaden's temple is crumbling like old drywall. It's peeling off in sheets like a spider molting. As you see this, the entire temple begin to vibrate and shake, and you see other buildings around it begin to vibrate, and you see shutters fall off buildings, you see wrought iron fences creak and bend, stone masonry falls, and everything seems to have this temple at the focal point of this minor earthquake. And you see, as if peeling back the layers, that there is something beneath this temple, and not beneath as in underground. I mean literally like peeling back a hard-boiled egg. There is something, pieces of this facade are falling off, and this temple begins to morph and twist, and you can hear the sounds of wood and metal and stone creaking, as where there was once a religious-looking temple to a god, you begin to see this like gnarled purple and blue and vaguely metallic building sort of emerge and twist out of this. And you begin to see Vishaden's temple form into its true housing. You see a conical rooftop, a huge hole spirals out of it. Like a magnifying glass, a telescope protrudes out of this thing. You see like the tower is what it becomes, begins to like bend and move at strange angles. And you see the conical roof sort of unfold like irises, and you see above it floats Vishaden. You see that he has this bright purple and blue robe sort of like whipping wildly around him, and you see a force of wind underneath him is sort of lifting him up, and you see lightning crackle between his fingers, and like his eyes, like lightning crackles behind that, and he points towards the sky, and you see a lightning bolt. He points at another area, and 3 or 4 fireballs out of here. And you have that pain rack across your brain. But you've had this before many times now. And you realize that the patron deity of Samora has been reborn, as has the god of magic. And we cut to Seydlitz. Seydlitz, you have wrought destruction in this camp. Chaos ensues. No one knows where you are. Everyone is confused what's happening. They're still trying. You hear commanders and captains and other people shouting, "Fuck it, move forward, grab what you can, go, go, go. We're not coming back here. Take the city, take the city." And you see them begin to move out. There are wounded behind them. There are still fires burning. You see a dozen or so people begin to excuse me, grab on the legs of the trebuchet and begin to roll that thing forward. You know full well the moment they release that thing, it's going to crumble down and crush anyone beside it. But they are moving out. You see, as you watch them sort of amass their troops, disheveled as they are, and move out, you can kind of see like out towards the city, more of these similar units have come out, and then you see a bolt of lightning strike down into a small copse of trees. Fire erupts, the trees are on fire. You see another several fireballs erupt out of the city. You know the city has no capacity for like an aerial or a siege assault. So where these fireballs are coming from, you're not entirely sure. But you begin to see these things happening from, it seems as though the city is the focal point of where they're coming from. What are you doing?
Are the fireballs striking trebuchet and the people around it?
As far as you can tell, yes, it's on the far side of the city, so you can't really tell what it hit. But you do see that there are people running from the copse of trees where the lightning strike hit, and there are trees on fire, and you see at least one person on fire running as he falls to the ground. So the lightning is hitting people or things that are apparently enemy.
If Seydlitz thinks this is friendly, which he's uncertain, but obviously it's doing what he was doing, just a lot better, Seydlitz is going to fade back into the woods.
Okay.
And make his way back around to the city.
Okay. Do you want to... So I think you are in like the south... You're in the southeast of the city. So Mina was in the east. He's now running towards the northeast. You are in the southeast. Where are you? Where do you want to go? Do you want to swing around to the south and come up behind the other army? Or do you want to swing to the east where you know they have been wounded by the lightning and by Mina's crazy antics?
Seydlitz is going to swing around to the south.
Okay. Are you trying to get back to the city, or are you trying to harass another unit from behind?
I think Seydlitz is going to try to get back to the city at this point.
Okay. You know that route. South is how you get to the Krakens. Southeast is how you got to your little magical forest. And south is the is where you went when you teleported back. So you've been this route. So what I'll have you do is roll me a speed difficulty 5. Anything that is stealth can apply here.
Well, I have stealth.
Stealth works. So roll me a stealth difficulty 5. Success. Cool. So you can make it past the southern unit here. Now, you know that there's a gate here, and the gate is closed. How are you getting back into the city? Is there like a special hidden way in and out that you have? Or are you just making it to the gate and be like, I'm one of your fucking generals, let me in?
Seydlitz is probably going to hang out outside the walls for the moment.
Okay.
Simply because he doesn't really need to get back in at the moment, but since there is no immediate enemy surrounding him, is there?
No, you've quickly made it past them, and they all seem to be moving with the trebuchet, or at least in front of it. So they are moving intentionally slow, a very slow march. So you can quickly get in front of them through your own hidden means.
Seydlitz would probably circle around and look for one of the sewer entrances then.
Okay. You know that the main easy access sewer entrance is on the north side of the tower. The north side of the city. But you do see that there are people lining the city wall. And you are a known general.
He's going to keep quiet.
Okay. Okay, so you begin to sort of scout the edge of the wall, looking for an entrance. Go ahead and roll me an intelligence difficulty 5. investigation or finding hidden objects could apply here.
Let's see.
Not hunting, because it's a stationary thing.
Eye for detail.
I'll take eye for detail.
Cancel that. Seydlitz doesn't want to distract the people from their jobs, is why he's not saying anything.
That's fair. Great. You don't find like a hidden waterway entrance from where you are. What you do see with your eye for detail is you notice that there is enough spaces where mortar has fallen out because of the trebuchet, like the trebuchet hits from other areas, that you could with relative ease use these mortar holes to climb up the wall.
I guess climbing it is.
Okay.
And I am trained in climbing, swimming, jumping, and bouncing, so...
Great. I'm not even going to have you roll for it in that case. So you Assassin's Creed up the wall, up a sheer wall, and you make your way to the top of the crenellations. And as soon as you do, as soon as you like reverse Antares and you hop back into the wall, you see this tower that was not here, that raises higher than the walls of the city and higher than the castle itself. It stands a good like 30 or 40 feet up over the tower, over the walls, and you see flying above that or floating above that on a dust devil is for all intents and purposes someone that kind of looks like Korax in that he's in a robe and shooting lasers out of his hands, but definitely not Korax. But you see his robe sort of whipping across, and you see magic sort of coursing around him as he is doing stuff. What do you do as you see this? It kind of confirms that the fireballs and the lightning was probably friendly. Or some real bad shit's happening.
I see the Shadens decided to wake up. Guard! And he yells to the nearest guard and yells, report!
He fires an arrow at the incoming troops and turns to you in shock because you definitely weren't there 30 seconds ago. And he says, sir, and he salutes you. We're under attack from all sides. General Han and General Antares have launched themselves over the wall. General Korax is missing. That's all I know. And he points to Vishaden.
Don't worry about that big tower. That's on ours.
Okay. And he fires another arrow out there. What should we be doing, sir?
Keep defending the city. Do not let anything through.
Fires another arrow. He continues doing exactly that, and you see that there are probably a dozen or so guards all sort of in the same mode. All of their spears are down, and you see that they are all firing arrows into the oncoming people. Obviously, you've seen it before, having walked the walls, but you can see there are white markers every 100 yards as they are firing these things out there, so they can see when the people are coming back in there. What are you doing now that you've taken the wall?
Seydlitz, seeing them fire arrows, is going to kind of speak a small prayer about letting their arrows fly true. He doesn't really have any abilities like Mina where he could actually buff or thing anybody, but it's the thought that counts for him.
Okay, I like that. Go ahead. Here's what we'll do. Go ahead and roll me an attack roll. Give me. We'll call it a difficulty 10. I just want to see where it lands. So roll me an attack roll. Any of your attacking divine shifts, like any of your archery divine shifts, will work for that. And any assets to archery or that kind will work for that as well.
I only get one divine shift into that, but I have 2 in dexterity. But
I'll take all 3 of those. Dexterity is what you use to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take all 3 divine shifts. So that makes it a difficulty 7. And then any skills you have towards archery or.
Do you want me to roll with speed, or do you want me to roll with the crossbow itself?
Roll with the crossbow itself.
All right. I don't think I have anything really off other than initiative or danger sense, but I don't think that'll work.
No, they're really good at sensing the danger. It's all around them. The danger has made itself very apparent.
All right, I guess I'll take 5 shifts, 3. And I'm going to go maximum effort to roll.
Okay.
I don't think I'll actually get anything out of this. Oh.
Okay, perfect. So you brought it all the way down to a 15. A 16 beats that. So you usher a prayer, and maybe it's out of a vague sense of divinity. Maybe it's out of like an errant sense of like in your youth you were taught this kind of thing, that this is kind of the moment that you pray. But I feel like it doesn't occur to Seydlitz that the person he's praying to in this moment is, in fact, himself. But it occurs to the cosmos that it is you. And while you issue forth a prayer, what you do in reality is create a blessing. And so you issue this prayer as you... are you leaving the wall? Are you headed somewhere else, Matt?
Give me a sec. I'm adjusting lighting.
Okay. While you adjust,
The
are you
lighting in my
leaving
room
the wall?
is bad. Seydlitz will probably go hunt down Korax and ask him what's going on, because he'll probably know the best.
Okay, cool. So we'll roll this into 2 and 1, right? You're the god of the hunt. It's easy enough to find Korax. Look for the most amount of trouble, and that's where he's going to be. So you know to go for that temple, that giant tower coming out of nowhere. But you issue forth this prayer, or what you think is a prayer, and becomes a blessing as you hit the stairs and make a break for the temple district, and you see, or you don't see, we see this person, this random guard, knock his arrow, arc back, and he doesn't even notice. But as it flies free, the arrow, the string, and the bow all glow like they were just hit by moonlight. And the camera sort of stays there for a second, and you see 10 or so feet away, and knock his arrow, and that arrow glows blue, or glows white, like it's hit by moonlight. And this trend sort of passes around the wall as you have blessed the archers of the city of Samora, and they are all firing these moonlit arrows as you hit the stairs, make a break for the temple district, and run towards the chaos that is Korax. Korax,
Can I
you are
make a
standing...
recovery roll?
Go ahead. Say, yeah, burn.
Can I make a recovery roll?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
You have
you.
a 1-action recovery roll. Korax, you are at the bottom of the new temple to the god of magic that erupted out of previous temple. What are you doing? You see Vishaden in his true form just fucking blasting people.
Well, Korax achieved what he was here to do, get Broshaden to do his job. He turns to leave. Broshaden is busy, so Korax is going to literally stop, see that he's doing his job, and he's going to turn to run towards the people who were making him alchemist fire.
Great.
And wherever was stored.
Great. You turn, you skid to that halt, you turn, you see what's happening, and you break in the opposite direction as this is all sort of happening. You see him firing different sort of things, like a rainstorm hits somewhere else. He seems to be having his own fun over there. You begin to head back into the city proper, making your way to the south, where the industrial, or at least not the industrial, but the storage room is. And you are running towards where the underground, reservoir of your alchemist fire is, and you see running through the alleyways and streets like a dog with a scent is Seydlitz, crossbow in hand, looking a little bit worse for the wear, having just sprinted across the battlefield, running out, and you exit a street as he exits an alleyway, and you're sort of facing each other.
Korax is out of breath. His face is bright red. He doesn't do running. And he looks to Seydlitz and just half waves out of breath and just keeps going.
Seydlitz, you found him. What are you
Seydlitz
doing?
grabs his shoulder as he starts to try to run past him.
Shit to do. And he like tries to like pull. He's got to go.
And
There's a war on, Seydlitz. There's a war on. They're here. They're fighting. Mina's doing Mina things, and Terry's has followed Mina to do Mina things. I don't know.
I am aware those two idiots are outside the wall right now.
Broshaden did
You
his
think-
thing. He's
pointing at
protecting
Broshaden,
the city.
You think he's going to cause collateral?
Probably, but we can't deal with him right now. And Korax is going to turn and literally run, no matter what Seydlitz says.
Heroes would be so proud of how much he's running.
Seydlitz is going to go to the war room, see if he can find the queen.
Okay. Korax runs towards the alchemy area. Seydlitz runs towards the castle to seek the queen. And Mina and
Seydlitz
Antares
casually jogs towards the castle.
casually jogs. And Mina and Antares sprint across the hills to the northeast. Where Mina is sure some manner of the head of the snake is. And that, with the final words of my notes being, the battle of scales and bone has begun, is where we end this episode of The Rise. You can tune in next month for episode 35, The Battle of Scales and Bone. And that is the end of this episode. A single spark starts the war. So let's go around, do our outroductions so we can discuss all the things in our after show. And if you want the after show, join us over on Patreon at the $5 tier. It's a great tier. There's all kinds of fun things. You get like little cool things, and the after shows are very insightful and fun. I like them. Gee, shut up. You like them too. You even watch the ones you're in, so I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear your sass.
Of course I do.
So let's go around, and we'll start with everyone's favorite sasshole. G, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? And what are you up to?
Hi, I'm G, the friendly neighborhood lightning invoker. You'll find me all things unMadeGaming, modding for the week or during the week, in all things Patreon, in Atari Twilight Age of Always, and the monthly Patreon campaign for Vasid, called Mundus Novus. And next weekend we have our Patreon one-shots. Make sure you stick around for there. And I will be at PAX Unplugged in 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah. That's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Let's jump over to Matt. Who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? No. And what are you up to?
Why no?
G's X.
Me.
No.
Find me on X.
No.
Everybody still calls it Twitter.
I'm the only one who calls it.
I don't even use it, and I still call it Twitter. All right, I'm Matt or T. You'll find me in Ike's Discord or here in the Patreon campaign playing Seydlitz, or in the Patreon one shots playing a myriad of various different characters.
That is true. And at PAX. So we'll all be hanging out.
Yes, you'll find me there at PAX Unplugged over in Philly here in what, 3 weeks?
2
2
weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks.
In fact, everyone here
boy.
will be at our community meetup. So come hang out with us at
exactly
PAX.
2 weeks.
Come dab with G at PAX. Norm, what about you? You caused this chaos. It's been planned for 2 months. You messaged me and said, I want to fuck some shit up. And I said, done and done. So who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? And why did you do this to us?
I'm Normal Snow. You can find me in the Patreon campaign game, the Patreon one-shots, PAX Unplugged in a couple of weeks, and in the Discord, messaging Mike and causing chaos.
That's true. And last but not least, our winded wizard. Chris, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? And what are you up to?
Last and definitely least, I can be found in the Discord, pretty much the Discord. Atari Twilight Age of Always, when we next schedule that. Patreon one-shots, Patreon campaign, Discord. Join the Discord. Join the
Hell
Patreon.
yeah. Hell freaking yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, everyone here, as you can see by this Patreon campaign, has joined our Patreon. Everyone in the Patreon one-shots has done the same. Join us over there. You get exclusive access to our behind-the-scenes after shows. You can get access to our blogs weeks and weeks before, months before they're actually published on the website. Cool artwork, polls about future things that we're doing, and just really cool insight. And sometimes slots open up to join our one-shot groups and our campaign groups. But with that being said, that is all for us. I hope you enjoyed this, but enough of this. We will see you next month for more shenanigans. So from all of us to you guys, bye-bye.
See you later.